Hey everybody, what's going on? Revolution Cowboy here, and unfortunately coming here with some sad news. If you probably haven't heard by now, the legendary Stan Lee, the co-founder of Marvel Comics, and one of the probably the greatest pop culture icons to ever live, has sadly passed away at the age of 95. And let's be honest, whether you collect comics or if you're like me, you collect action figures or trade cards or anything pop culture related, it doesn't matter if it's wrestling, comics, anime, sci-fi. Basically, you can. I feel like you can kind of almost thank Stan Lee just because he's one of those people who actually made being a geek or nerd or whatever term you want to use. He made it cool, even if it kind of took a while. Because obviously Stan Lee was at it for at least 50 years, even though he hasn't been as active with comic making like he used to be since he sold Marvel to Disney back in was it 2010 I think or 2009. I can't remember how long ago it was. But anyways, I think we can really have him to thank because he's the one that helped make it cool. I feel like if we didn't have Marvel comics, yeah, I know we also have DC, but I feel like Marvel's kind of what helped launch this into basically into pop culture. Making this cool. And I'm having a hard time speaking because I've really been kind of trying to do this video over and over, and it's like, as much as I'm trying to stay on the topic of Stan Lee, I'm trying to also think about how he's impacted our lives. And he's not the only one that comes to mind when it comes to our culture. George Lucas is another name, which we still have George Lucas here today. But I feel like when he passes, even though I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, I'll still try to pay some respect to George. But Stan is somebody I'm a bigger fan of just because I like Marvel comics. I've enjoyed the movies. I have a few comics that he's had a hand in help creating. And him, of course, the movies. The movies have been great. I mean, even though there have been a few flops, but still, we can all admit the Marvel Cinematic Universe is definitely one of the most popular, most successful in all movies today. And he's given us so many household names like Spider-Man, Wolverine, of course, my favorite, The Punisher, Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America. Of course, you can't forget all the groups like the Avengers, which I already mentioned four of them. Guardians of the Galaxy, X-Men, and the list goes on and on of so many different heroes and teams of heroes. And you know, Marvel Comics and Stan Lee have definitely made an impact probably on everybody's life. I feel like, I don't think anyone would be probably the geeks they are today if it weren't for him. Even if you're not the biggest Marvel Comics fan, maybe you're just DC or you're just not big in comics, still, I feel like the culture of not only collecting of comics, but also collecting stuff like action figures, whether it be wrestling or be Star Wars, Marvel, of course, as this is the main point, as what be Marvel without Stan Lee, of course, got various Funko Pops as those are a big thing. I mean, I can go on and off everything, but I feel like we kind of have him to thank just because dude's definitely a legend in pop culture. He's the one who made it cool to be a geek at any age, and dude was definitely passionate not only about creating comics but also being in some of the adaptations or help most of the adaptations of his comics as he's appeared in movies, always having a small cameo of some kind. He's lent his voice to various Marvel cartoon adaptations, even video games, and he's even appeared in stuff that it's not Marvel related. Like he's even, I think, appeared in some DC television shows. And I think he's even at least made an appearance on Big Bang Theory, which that's a show that also kind of helped, tell everybody, hey, being a geek is cool, It's not like it was 20 years ago when people used to shun geeks for still collecting toys and comics when, everybody thought that stuff was still for kids. Unfortunately, yes, that still exists. There's going to still be people who don't understand why we do this, but at least majority of people now kind of have accepted it. I mean, like I said, you're always going to have the people who won't, but that's whatever, Now, getting to Stan Lee, it's sad that he has passed on. But unfortunately, I'm sure many of you have probably heard the stories over the years that Stan Lee was not doing so well, both physically just because he was already in the later part of his life where he was getting more frail, but also mentally as the people who were taking care of him were not doing a good job, and they were making him miserable. He was already wishing that he was dead, and I would assume he went out by natural causes, but I'm guessing the full story will be put up here when they do the autopsy. But as I don't think there was really any reason, but still, I mean, the life he had lived the last few years, despite being successful and even after selling his property to Disney, still, it's like, man, I wish Stan Lee could have gone out better, maybe been a little happier, but I'm sure he still had a little bit of joy seeing how many of us still enjoy his properties, the movies, the comics, the cartoons, toys, and just enjoying, pop culture in general. Like I said, it doesn't matter, wrestling, sci-fi, anime, it doesn't matter, Stan Lee, I'm sure he enjoyed it all, and I'm sure he enjoyed it, fans young and old, whether it's little kids or middle-aged men like myself, or even people that are probably close to his age that enjoyed this stuff. And it doesn't matter if you were male, female, transgender. Stan Lee it didn't matter, Stan Lee, As long as you enjoy what you enjoyed, that's what made him happy. Like I said, I wish things could have been better for him, but I'm now knowing he's at peace because he's away from the people that were causing him misery. So Stan, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you. I think a lot of us do owe our fandoms to you, basically. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you collect comics, trading cards, figures, it doesn't matter. I feel like, once again, he's the one who made this stuff cool. And probably at some point I might have to show off some of my comics, because I do have a decent Marvel comic collection. I don't really have much in the way of toys. I have like one Punisher figure. I've never got too big to collect anything Marvel toy related. And I do have a few Marvel movies though. So I may have to do that as a separate video here. Maybe later on this week, maybe tomorrow. I don't know, whenever I get around to filming them. But I thought I'd at least take time to talk about Stan and how he's impacted, I think, everybody's lives. Because I feel like without him, I don't know how things would be probably much different. But anyways, that's about all I have to say. Stan Lee, rest in peace. You will be missed. And thank you for being a geek. Thanks for making it cool. Anyways, guys, I want to thank y'all for watching. Rock on, keep collecting, and the words of Stan Lee, Excelsior!